Welcome back to our LangChain AI series, where we are building real-world AI agents and deploying production-ready AI apps. Before building this project, I thought poetry is something you write in English class. You know Shakespeare? Roses are red, all that. But turns out, poetry is also the best way of building modern Python applications in 2025. I had no clue of how it worked, learned the basics in one day, and using that basic knowledge, I have built a LangChain powered fast API that simplifies complex legal contracts into simple English language, and I have also deployed it on render. And today, I'll show you exactly how I scaffolded that project from scratch. We are skipping the Jupyter notebook hacks and going full dev mode. Poetry, proper source layout, pinning dependencies, and everything. Before we even start typing anything, let me show you what we are actually building. This is a LangChain powered API that takes a complex legal contract like terms and conditions written by Devil himself and converting it into a simple human readable English. And this is not just a toy demo, it is built using modern tooling using something called poetry. And no, not the Shakespeare kind. Let me pause here and explain what poetry actually is, because I didn't know what poetry was either until I built this project. Poetry is a dependency manager and build tool for Python. Think of it like npm for JavaScript. It handles all your dependencies, project structure, virtual environments, all in a single place. It replaces pip install, virtual environment, requirement.txt, and even setup.py for packaging. It's clean, isolated, and gives you reproducible builds, which is just a fancy way of telling your code will not randomly break in 3 months. So, in this episode, we are going to scaffold the whole project using poetry. And by the end of this video, you will have a clean SRC layout, a locked set of LangChain plus OpenAI dependencies, a working fast API endpoint, and a .env setup that doesn't leak your API keys to GitHub like a noob. And before we dive into the code, let's see what we will have by the end of this episode. I already have the final version running on my machine locally on localhost 8000. Let's check this using Postman. This is the API endpoint on which we will be sending the legal contract, the complex legal contract, so that we will get the response in which the simplified English version of this complex legal contract is included. So here you can see, guys, in this payload I have sent a sample text of a legal contract. The lessee shall indemnify the lessor from all claims arising due to the use of premises. We will not understand this, guys. Let's send this one so that we will get the simplified version. Yeah, we got it. The simplified version is the tenant must compensate the landlord for any claims that come up because of how the property is used. This is the simple version, guys. So this project is successfully simplifying the complex legal contracts into a plain simple English. This response came from a LangChain chain, guys, which is under the hood using an OpenAI's LLM, and it is wrapped under a clean fast API. And check this out, guys, we have also got a health route which just simply returns a status OK response, because real APIs should be checkable, not just mystical. So yeah, that's what we are building. And now that you have seen the end result, let me walk you through how you get there, starting with scaffolding the project using poetry. Alright, time to build. Now let's open the terminal inside our project. First step, we scaffold a brand new project using poetry. So we should write the command poetry space new space double hyphen src and the name of our project. I am giving it the name Contract Simplifier. You can name it as per your wish. And just let me hit enter and I will explain you what this command is actually doing under the hood. So after running this command, we have the poetry has generated this contract simplifier folder. This is the basic template, guys. This basic template is generated because of this command. Now let me break down this command, guys. This poetry new creates a new Python project which will have this test directory, this src directory, and readme.md, all this stuff. And this double hyphen src is creating this src folder in which we will writing the actual app code. This is a promo that prevents import conflicts and makes testing packaging way more easier, guys. And this contract simplifier, what we have written, with that same name the project will be created, and inside the src directory we will also have another directory with the same name, guys. We can see here it is also having the name contract simplifier. And we are also seeing this one, guys. The double hyphen src option is now the default and will be removed in a future version. That means in the upcoming versions of the poetry we need not write this src command, guys. We can simply write poetry new contract simplifier. If we execute this one, this is going to work in the future versions, guys. But for now we need to stick with this older command. Okay, now let's cd into the contract simplifier project. I will open this in a new VS Code tab. And let's check out what poetry has created. You'll see something like src tests readme.md. Let's talk about the structure, guys. We can see the src folder, and inside it there is a contract simplifier folder. This is where your actual app code will live, guys. We can also see the test directory. This is for unit testing, and we can see the pyproject.toml. This is the heart of your project, guys. We'll update this soon. This structure might feel like a bit of too much for you, especially if you are used to dumping everything into main.py file. But trust me, this is how real Python projects are built. And the best part is, it works perfectly with LangChain, FastAPI, CI/CD, and deployment tools like Docker or Render. And now we will be modernizing this pyproject.toml. Now let's customize this pyproject.toml. If you are using the latest version of Poetry, you will get to see this project log in the modern format, which is great. And this was not the previous case in the older Poetry versions. So you have got a future-proof starting point. But we are not done. Right now this is like a empty house. Nice foundation, but no furniture, no plumbing, no doors. So we need to specify a few more things in this pyproject.toml. I am pasting the code here. You can find this code from our GitHub repository. Link is in the description, guys. Please check it out. So what I have pasted is, this is the dependencies block, guys. Here you can see I am pinning the versions because the LangChain and OpenAI, they often break the stuff, guys. Some new updates come, they will break the code. But we want this project to work in future also, not just a single day. So we are pinning the dependencies. You can also see this scripts block, guys. This means you can simply poetry run start. You can simply write this command instead of writing the full Uvicorn command every single time. And you should also see this block which tells poetry where the source code lives. Here it is telling that the source code is inside the contract simplifier folder, which is inside the src folder. If this line is not there, the imports will break, guys. Because of this line, Poetry will understand the source code is not in the root directory, but it is inside the contract simplifier folder, which is inside the src folder. Okay. Now that we have our pyproject.toml file ready, let's install everything and get our environment logged in. First, we need to run poetry install. This will read the pyproject.toml file, installs everything into a virtual environment, and it will generate a poetry.log file in the root folder, which will ensure that the exact versions which we have pinned here will be installed every time when you deploy this project. So your project is fully reproducible and it will not break randomly if any library gets updated tomorrow. So let's run this poetry install. We are seeing an error, Python constraints in tool. So this is,
A few moments later.
so guys, this error is because we have specified the Python version as we want Python version greater than 3.10 but less than 3.13. But here we already mentioned that this project requires Python version greater than 3.12, which is contradicting itself. So we need to either change this line or we need to change this line. So let's try changing this line, guys. So I have changed it to we need Python version greater than 3.12 and less than 3.13. Let's try again. Oh, I have not saved the file. We need to save it. Control plus S. Let's clear the terminal first. Poetry install. Now it's working, guys. So it is done with installing, guys. All the dependencies have been installed. So the virtual environment is created, guys. Now it's time to create a .env file where we will be saving our OpenAI's API key. And we should also create a .gitignore file. And we should specify that this .env file will not get pushed into our GitHub repository because we don't want our OpenAI credentials to get leaked into GitHub, guys. So guys, let's now try to run poetry run start, and we get to see this error, guys. It is saying run poetry install to resolve and get rid of this message. Let's try installing poetry. This is likely not a poetry issue. To fix this issue, let's once refer the documentation, guys. Python poetry documentation. The pyproject.toml file, name, version, description, let's do one thing, guys. Let's ask ChatGPT about this.
12 seconds later.
And ChatGPT says in the latest version of this poetry, we should not specify the dependencies here in this block. We need to specify the dependencies in this dependencies array, which is inside this project block. Okay, so in this block we need to specify the dependencies. We should not have specified the dependencies here. So we should, let's delete this one, guys. Let's save it and try running poetry install again. We'll do one thing, guys. Let's make each dependency a string and try it again, guys. Control plus save. Poetry install. It is working now, guys.
1 hour later.
We are still seeing a lot of errors, guys. And poetry is telling us poetry update no cache greenlet. Let's try running it. It's done, guys. It's done. We got poetry.log file which we wanted, because this file ensures that whenever we deploy this project, whatever dependencies we have mentioned, only that versions of that dependencies will be installed, guys. No other dependency, because if any library will get updated tomorrow, our project should not break. This file will ensure that, guys. And the issue we were facing from so much of time was, previously what we did was we specified these dependencies in a separate block. That block was we specified here, guys. What we did was tool dot poetry dot dependencies. Under this block we specified this dependencies, but we should not have specified like this in the latest version. This format used to work in the older versions, guys. It is not working now, so we should not specify here. We should specify in this dependencies array, and each dependency we should place it inside a double quote and separate using commas. This was the silliest mistake we made and saw a lot of errors in the terminal. And simply we followed what poetry said. It said to execute poetry update dash dash no cache greenlet. And now what this greenlet is, guys, this greenlet is a low level library. Actually we have nothing to do with greenlet in this particular project, guys, but because we are using the latest Python version 3.12, there are few dependencies inside this project, like FastAPI, which will under the hood is dependent on this Greenlet dependency, guys. So since we are using the latest Python version, this Greenlet is cannot be automatically installed by this poetry install, guys. So we had to manually install this Greenlet with this command poetry update no cache Greenlet. Then the Greenlet got installed and the error is gone. So once we executed poetry install again, all the dependencies got installed and we got our poetry.log file. Now I think we can run poetry run start. Still we are seeing module not found error. Maybe we don't have anything inside this contract simplifier file, guys. So let's create a main.py. Let's write a simple function. I wrote a simple function, guys. Let's try again. Poetry run start. Still I'm getting the error, man.
1 hour later.
So guys, after drowning a lot into the debugging hell, I just found the silly mistake I have been doing. Previously, this particular script, instead of mentioning it like src.contract-simplifier.main, we were just mentioning it as contract-simplifier.main.run. We didn't write the src dot this particular thing, so we were getting the error, the module not found error, guys. So it's running now. You can see I have created a main.py file inside the contract simplifier folder. I have declared a function run hello from LangChain project, and you can see in the terminal we got the output. And we can just ignore this warning for now, guys. Now our poetry plus LangChain project is fully scaffolded, dependencies are installed, and our script runs without exploding. So inside this contract simplifier folder, let's delete this main.py for now, and let's create a folder named API and another folder inside this contract simplifier only with the name chains. Inside this API we will have the main.py file, and inside this chains directory we will have simplify contract.py. We are isolating both of this because in this main.py we will have the fast API app, and in this simplify contract we will have the chain which we build using the LangChain. This is where the legal contract will be simplified into plain English, and in main.py this is where we will be interacting with the APIs. Okay, we are keeping both of this isolated in the different folders so that the architecture is clean and the testing becomes easy and the things remain isolated. So now let's build the brain of our project. We are in the simplify contract.py file. Just to save the time, I am pasting the code simply here. And let me tell you what's happening here. This load.env, this line will import the OpenAI API key which we have saved inside this .env file previously, and we are also initializing the LLM using the chat OpenAI module which we have imported from LangChain OpenAI package. We are specifying the model name here as GPT 3.5 Turbo 0125. You can specify any module as per your wish, and we have also specified the temperature and max tokens, and then we are defining the system prompt. You can see it. You are a legal assistant that simplifies legal contracts into plain English anyone can understand. And we are using chat prompt template module to structure the system prompt and the human message. This chat prompt template module is imported from the LangChain core.prompts package. Here you can see we are passing the system prompt and also the contract test which we will be passing by the humans. And finally we are defining the chain. We just combine the prompt and the LLM using the pipe operator, and this is the chain. Now what happens under the hood is we will pass a contract text. That contract text will be given as input to this prompt first. So that contract text will go here, and the prompt will be structured as you are a legal assistant that simplifies legal contracts into plain English anyone can understand, and below that the contract text which we have given will be together passed inside this prompt. So ultimately the whole prompt becomes this line followed by the contract text which we have given. So togetherly it becomes a prompt, and that prompt will be given to LLM. Now this LLM will take that prompt and give us response, and that response will have the plain English version of this contract text which you have passed. If you want, we can check it by running the dot invoke method. Let's try it. Let's try printing contract simplifier chain dot invoke contract text, and let me give a sample legal contract text. The lessee shall indemnify the lesser, and we need the content of this response, guys. So we will specify the dot content, and let's run this code. See, we can see the output. The person renting the property promises to the protect owner from any harm or loss. This is what the legal contract means, guys. So to summarize, what's happening here is we have created a chain, contract simplifier chain, which will take the complex legal contract, pass it to the prompt. The prompt will be structured using the chat prompt template, and that structured prompt will be passed to the LLM, and the LLM will convert the complex legal text into a simple human understandable English. And this is the sample output, guys. Now the brain of the project is ready, guys. Now let's wire the brain to this project. We will go into the main.py. Let's import FastAPI, and we will create an instance of our app, and let's create a sample route to check whether the server is alive or not. And I have named this route as health. So let's run this app, guys. Poetry run start. But if we execute it, we will get error. Let's see what that error is. See, we get module not found error because now the main.py file is not directly inside this contract simplifier. It is inside the API directory, which is inside the contract simplifier. Previously, the main.py was directly inside this contract simplifier, but now recently we have changed it. So inside this pyproject.toml, in the start script, we need to mention that the main.py file is inside this API directory. Okay, so the main.py file will be found in src dot contract simplifier dot api dot main. So that's the folder structure we have. Contract simplifier, inside there is an API, inside there is main.py, and we need to save it. And there is one more thing, we should have a run function inside this main.py, or else it will not run. Okay, so we need to define it. Def. Now let's try again. Poetry run start. See, we are getting to see hello. Okay, but the app is not live, guys. We need to make the app live, and that will happen with the help of Uvicorn. So we need to import Uvicorn also. Import Uvicorn, and Uvicorn is basically a web server, guys. In FastAPI applications, we usually use Uvicorn. So we need to use Uvicorn here in the run function. Uvicorn.run. Let's specify the path of this current main.py file. It is inside the src.contract, and we need to run the app. Okay, we should specify the host. We should also specify the port 8000, and reload. We should enable the reload into true, so that whenever we save this main.py file, the server will automatically get reloaded with the new changes. Let's save it. Let's clear the terminal. Poetry run start. The app should be running now. Yes, it's running. So if we open the localhost 8000 slash health, we will see this status OK response, guys. Let's see it. Localhost 8000 health. See, we can see the status. Okay. So the app is live, guys. Now let's create our main player. So this route, I am defining it as simplify, because here is where we will be simplifying the complex legal contracts, and this route will accept the post request, guys. So inside the request body there will be this complex legal contract. We will send HTTP post request to this route, and this will accept the request, and under the hood it will process. And inside this we need to import that chain which we have created inside this simplify contract. We need to import this one, guys. This chain we need to import, and this route will accept a request, and for this request we will need a model that validates the request body, guys. So for this we will import pydantic. So we have imported the base model from Pydantic. Let's define a Pydantic class here. So this model will have only one field with name contract text. So whatever request the user will send, we will say it should be in this contract request format only. That means the request body should have only one field, that is contract text, and that should be in string format. So once we have the request body, we should pass that request body into the chain which we have created in this simplify contract.py. Into this chain we need to pass the legal contract. Then this chain will take care of the process. Now we need to import this chain into our main.py. So let's write from src dot contract simplifier dot chains dot simplify contract, import this chain, and we need to use that chain here, contract simplifier chain dot, let's invoke it by passing the input inside, and the input should be in this format, guys. Contract text is request dot contract text. Okay, now we should save this output into a variable output, and finally we will return the output as a simplified text. So what's actually happening here is, whenever user sends their complex legal contract into this simplify route through a HTTP post request, this contract simplifier chain will receive that contract text and it will be invoked, and under the hood the contract text which we have passed will be given to this prompt as input first. Then the chat prompt template will be structured, and that structured prompt will be given to the LLM, and the LLM will convert the complex legal text into the simple human readable English, and then the LLM will return the response. The response we want is inside the output.content. So we are returning the simplified text as output.content. So let's check this one using Postman. So we will test this API using Postman. And for those who don't know what Postman actually is, it is a tool which will let us check our APIs without needing to build a front end, guys. So I have pasted the route here, HTTP localhost 8000, and simplify the route on which we need to send the legal contract. And I have selected it in the post format. Inside this body, I have pasted this contract text as sample contract text, and let me hit send. Let's see what response we get. Yes, guys, we got the response. The way we defined, in the same format it came, guys. Simplify text: the tenant must compensate the landlord for any claims that come up because of how the property is used. And this was the complex legal text for this one. Let's try a bit of longer legal contract text, guys. Now this legal contract is large enough, notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained herein. Let's directly simplify it, guys. It's saying basically both parties agree that if they don't immediately enforce their rights under this agreement, it doesn't mean they are giving up those rights. And the agreement applies to both parties and anyone they pass their rights to. If one part of the agreement is found to be invalid, it won't affect the rest of the agreement. This one is very simple to understand, guys, than this one. So the app is working, it's successful. We have created a LangChain-powered fast API which converts complex legal contract text into plain human readable English. Now it's time to deploy this project, guys. And before deploying, we will create few tests here, guys. We will add one simple check because it only takes 2 minutes now, but for you it will save so many hours of time. So let's create this test contract API.py. I'm To save the time, I'm pasting the code here, guys. This is a small snippet, and before explaining what this actually is, just let me run this test and I will let you know what is happening under the hood. Poetry run pytest minus v. So guys, now let me tell you what's actually happening here. This test contract.api file will test the specific route which we have mentioned here. In this case, we are mentioning that to test the simplify route. The simplify route is what we have created here, guys. In this route only, we are simplifying the complex legal contract data into simple English. This is the main route with which users will be interacting regularly. So we need to test that route. So we are passing that route here, and we will be passing a sample JSON contract text also here. This contract is binding something like that, and we should check if it is accepting the input, and if the status code is 200 always, and the response which we are getting is having a simplified text field, and also the response should be in JSON. So these things will be checked by this test, guys. So this test is telling us the API is accepting the input, it is giving us the response, and it will not break whenever we refactor something. So you can see in the terminal, when I executed poetry run pytest minus v, the session has started, and inside the test it's saying pass. That means the test is running successfully and the route which you have created has no errors. And now guys, it's time to deploy this project. We will deploy this project on render, and before deploying on render we need to push this code into our GitHub, and we should make sure that we have .gitignore file which is mentioning .env and .pycache, because we don't want these folders and our environment variables to get pushed into the GitHub. So let's move to GitHub. Create a new repository. We will name it contract simplifier. Create repository. We will execute this exact command, guys, but only one thing to change is we will replace this readme.md with a dot. So let's do a simple thing. Copy it, open the notepad, paste it. Shortcut. This is just a shortcut, guys, not something new. I'll open the VS Code terminal. Let's close this. And I will paste all the content which I have pasted in the notepad. All the commands will get executed one by one. So the code is now pushed into the GitHub repository. We can see it, guys. And since we are deploying this project on render, we will need to create a render.yaml file in this root of our project, guys. So render.yaml. I'm just pasting the content, guys. You can find this from our GitHub repository. The link will be in the description. Now, since we have created this new file, let's commit this change into our GitHub repository. Git add, git commit, -m, added render.yaml, origin main. Yeah. Now we can see the render.yaml. So the code is now inside the GitHub repository, guys. Now we need to deploy it on render. So I'm on render, guys. Let's create a new web service. We should configure our GitHub account with this render. I'm not giving the permission for all repositories, guys. I will only give the selected repositories. Let's select this one, contract simplifier, install. Yeah, select this repository, and by default render will understand that this is a Python project, guys. And root directory we will leave it as it is. The build command we should give it poetry install dash dash no dash root, and start command we will give this one poetry run Uvicorn, etc, etc. And let's select this free plan because we don't need this starter. And we should give the OpenAI API key, guys, which we have saved inside our .env file. I'm just pasting it here. And also we need to specify the Python version as 3.12.0. Let's click deploy. So guys, while deploying this on render, we got this error saying unable to find installation candidates for Greenlet. Since we are using Python 3.12 version here, it's more likely that we will get this kind of error with related to Greenlet. So what we need to do is, in our project, we should execute this command, guys. Poetry update no cache Greenlet. So once we execute this command, what happens is our pyproject or poetry.log file will get modified. It gets updated, and then we should push the code into the GitHub. I have done this, and then automatically that redeployment will get started. It's deploying, guys. Let's wait. It might take some time. Yeah, guys, the build is successful. Now the project is live now. We can access it through this URL. Let's move to the health route. Let's see, it says status okay. Yeah, and let's check this one on Postman, guys. I will simply duplicate this tab, replace this URL with a new one which we got from render, contract simplifier.onrender.com. The body is there. Let's hit send. Yeah, it's working, guys. It's working. So that's it, guys. Our project is ready. Now you can create your own front-end interface, guys, where users will enter the legal text and click submit. In the backend, the front-end interface in the backend, this API request will be sent, and you will get the response, and you will display that response in the front end. So now you have a real production-ready LangChain API up, running on the cloud, poetry managed, FastAPI powered, secure, tested, and live on render. No notebooks, no PP installations, just modern dev workflows which you would use in real world projects. And this video is the part of our LangChain crash course playlist, guys. And there is one more thing I need to tell you. I am not an expert in this stuff, guys. I am also learning this stuff just like you. If you find this content valuable, or if you would like to give any feedback to me, just drop a comment. Please like, share and subscribe. Your support helps me a lot to improve myself. And thanks for watching, guys.